Hey everyone, it's Mark with Mark's Virtual Real Estate Channel. I am back in Upland, a virtual real estate trading game where we can buy properties, trade them, rent them. There's cars, all kinds of other stuff going on as well. So we just had the London release, and what Upland does is every month or two or three they release a new city where you can mint properties, which means you're the first person to buy them, and a lot of times you can sell them at a profit or you can keep them. And collections are announced, and there's all kinds of different things that go on with these new city releases. And I have done fairly well selling properties in London so far, but I've heard on my Discord and from other people in the game, they've had a rough time selling properties. So I was going to go through, talk about my strategy, how I was able to sell some of those properties, and not just run out of UPIX, which I feel like a lot of people have done. All right, love the likes, love the comments, love the shares. I have lots of other videos if you don't know what Upland is and have no clue what I'm talking about. But I'm a real estate person in real life, and that's kind of why I decided to start messing around playing with Upland. You use real money, so that's fun. You can make money, and it's based on real lots in real life. So these are actually, we're in Neponset, are kind of one of my lazy nodes or home neighborhood in Queens, and these are real lots in real life. So it's kind of cool where you can see, what your properties look like in real life. This is my beach cottage right here, and in real life, I mean, it's an empty lot. But that's okay. You can see the beach is kind of cool. All right, so how did I do in London? I minted in London during the stress test and during the real test, and have videos of those posted which show you how I did there. I got quite a few properties in both of those, so that was nice. And then I have sold quite a few too. So I started with like 1.1 million UPIX. That's the currency they use in Upland to buy properties. And you can buy that with real US dollars, which is nice. But I got down to under 100,000 UPIX, if I remember right. I spent all of it. And then I got back up to 840,000 UPIX. I just actually bought another property in Neponset. That's why it's down below there. So I was able to sell almost 800,000 worth of properties in London in a few days. And so I know a lot of people have said they can't sell anything. They're stuck with properties. How was I able to do that? And we'll show you right here in my messages kind of what I sold. And if you can see those, I don't know if you can see them very well. Just sold one for 26,000. That was when I bought in the stress test. So not a huge markup there. We can go see what I paid for it right now. Oh, they have it. They're trying to flip it here. I've got to go through some different stuff to see what I paid for it, don't I? Well, what's the mint? Well, I can see the one right next to it. If it didn't take me away. Remember, like they had fixed that feature, and now it's back to not being fixed again, which is very annoying. But I have one. I think that was it. I have this one for sale for 26.18. So I made not a huge markup, but I made some money on that. It was a stress test. Those probably aren't the most desirable neighborhoods, and that's why I'm okay selling them for that. Over here, this was the real release, closer to London, and I was able to sell quite a few properties here with much higher markups, making much more money. This one right here, 39 White Friars, was one I just sold for 59,000. I think I had minted it for 20-some thousand. Again, it would be nice if it would stick down there, but it doesn't. But that's okay. So we got properties in different neighborhoods, different prices. I still have some left. But the ones I made the most money on, where I made most of my money, was on Fleet Street. And ye old Cheshire cheese, which I've heard is extremely famous and very popular place. Although the picture is a dry cleaning place. Not sure that's accurate. Oh, there it is, right there. Sorry, we can bump this up and look at that big construction right there. Where was it? Is it over here? But anyway, I was told that it was a very, very famous place, and wherever it was. And it could be a collection. It could be one of those properties. It's worth a ton of money. Once I don't know where it is now. Once they release the collections, and I know a lot of people buy those properties or mint those properties, and they put just a crazy price on them, and they never sell them, and then, well, it doesn't become a collection, nothing happens with it, and you kind of get stuck with that property. And that happens a lot with new releases, and I've done it before where you get kind of greedy and you're just like, oh, I think this is a special property. I got to ask a crazy amount for it. And I kind of have one of those now. I'm doing this to my church I bought, which I minted for 300 and some thousand, and I've got it for sale for $999, which is so much money. And would I just remove it from sale? I don't know if I want to do that. We'll put it back up there. We'll lower the price slightly. But that's a really cool property. I'm okay keeping. I'm not expecting it to really sell for that much. If it does, awesome. But these ones on Fleet Street, and I know I didn't do much research before I did that release, and maybe I should have done more, was speculated to be a collection. But there's so many streets that are speculated to be a collection in London. It's so hard to know which ones will be collections and which ones won't. And we've seen it before, especially in Berkeley, where Upland doesn't always pick the neighborhoods or streets you think they will. It's all up to them, right? If they want to have a famous street or not famous street, it's all up to them. It's all their discretion, and you never know what they're going to do. So relying or trying to guess and know what streets will be collections can be very difficult and can cost you a ton of money. And on top of that, a lot of times you'll see these collections are announced and you get it right and you hit that collection and it doesn't raise the prices any, or sometimes they even drop because there's so much speculation before that, or the collection isn't, a top tier collection. It's not a special collection. And yes, you can hit it big. You can gamble, get a special property, get a special street, but you have to look at the long run, right? It's kind of like, if you're playing poker, you might lose big or win big one day or the next day, but really you want to look at overall, how are you doing? And the really good poker players, the one who know the fundamentals, stick to the numbers, over time will usually win and make more money than they lose. Even a really bad poker player can hit it big one time, get lucky, but all the other times they play, then it starts to even out. And that's kind of how I'm looking at it with Upland too, is where if I'm trying to guess collections, if I'm trying to guess streets, overall I usually lose. Overall I'm usually wrong more than I'm right, and even if I am right, there's not that big of a bump in properties to justify the guesses. And I'll show you what I mean right here. Like, I forget what streets some of the ones, even Queens. Queens is a great example. Rockaway Boulevard, right, was speculated to be a collection by a lot of people. I had like 6 or 7 properties on that street, and before the collections were announced, I sold a lot of them. Not as many as I wanted, but quite a few. Big markups. Not huge markups, 2 to 3 times what I minted them for. Made some money. And I kept like 4 or 5 of those properties, something like that. And it was not a collection, right? It ended up being another street in the same area, but not over there. And those properties that were worth 70, 80,000 UPIX in that range were worth 10, 20,000 UPIX. So it wasn't, if you minted those properties, you didn't lose a lot from what you paid for them, but you lost a lot based on what they were worth at one point. So before the contests or the collections are announced is really when you have that opportunity to sell for the most money, the most properties. After they're announced, some of you might be able to sell for more, but it shrinks so much because there's only so many properties that can be collections. And overall, I know I've lost more money holding properties, trying to hit those collections, than if I would just sell almost all of them beforehand and get that profit when I can. So, Fleet Street could be a ultra rare, it's pretty small. It's not a big street. I think it stops right there, right? It could be an ultra rare or rare street and values could skyrocket. Or it could be nothing and prices will plummet. And that's the risk you take. And that's why I'm okay selling them. I sold, I minted some of these for 11 to 20,000. I think I sold them for $89.99, and I sold this cheese building for 199,000 UPIX. I'm okay taking that profit and then moving on, and that's why I have so much UPIX. And some of these others, I think I have like a theater right here, which hasn't been selling. I don't have a huge markup there, but some of these other properties I sold, the markup was 70, 80%, not huge markups. I'm not trying to make 2 or 3 times my money, and I've sold a lot of properties doing that, and that's kind of if I go to my messages, Whitefriars was like that. 537 Harrow Road was like that. Carter Lane was like that. These are maybe 100% markups, actually, maybe just a little bit less. And then on the stress test, I was taking 20%, 30% markup, just making a little bit of money. And I'm okay doing that because I know if those collections don't hit, a lot of these neighborhoods will go back real close to mint price, and you're probably not going to make hardly any money in the short term, maybe in the long term if you hold them for a long time. Now, it can be slightly different in cities where the prices are really low, like Queens, or not even Queens, but the Bronx. Or not, what am I talking about? Not really. Was it the Bronx? It was kind of the last Detroit was really cheap, but didn't have as much demand. I feel like the Bronx was kind of like the last neighborhood that really sold so fast, and prices were fairly cheap, minted out right away. There were tons of properties too, and just about every property you minted, you were guaranteed it would be worth than what you minted on it, even if you missed the collection. That was fun, right? The Bronx was a really fun release for me because prices were fairly low. There's lots of neighborhoods, lots of properties, lots of speculation. You can make lots of money and do very well. With London being so expensive, that makes it tricky because, there aren't as many people. There's just not enough UPICs to go around to buy all the properties right now. And if you miss that collection, I think there's a good chance those properties will go back to mint price or just over mint price. And that's why I'm okay selling them and not trying to make a killing on every single property. So that's my theory. And my theory when I was minting, which a lot of you saw too, was to try and find the kind of cheapest neighborhoods there were too, that weren't crazy expensive. And I got lucky here in this area with my little block explorer coming this way, where there were some cheaper properties and cheaper mints here. And I bought as many of those cheap ones as I could. And that also helps you be able to sell properties as well. That church I bought might be an awesome deal, might be really cool, but it's so expensive, it just limits your buyers so much. And people are always looking for the cheaper stuff, so the cheapest stuff you can mint, usually the better off you will be as well. Okay, so there's my quick video, just giving you an idea of how I was able to sell properties. I still have quite a few for sale. I should check and see, because one other thing too is when I sell properties, like if I had 25 properties right in here, I didn't have that many. I don't put all 25 up for sale at once. I put just a couple up for sale and then a couple more after those sell, because I don't want to cannibalize my own properties, right? I want to, sometimes I'll price them. I usually don't go at the very bottom of the floor, but in the lower ranges of those prices. And if I have 10 properties listed in that low price range, you can actually bring the value of the whole neighborhood down. But if I only have 1 or 2 properties priced in that price range, in that area, then someone might see it and say, oh, there's just 1 or 2 properties real cheap. That looks like a great deal. I'm going to buy that one. But if you have 10 properties all listed that cheap, someone's like, oh, that's not that good a deal. Why am I going to buy those properties? There's 9 more listed. Well, they don't know it's the same person selling them all. So if you want to help keep values up in your area, in your neighborhood, I think it's a good idea to not list all of them at once, but just 1 or 2. If those sell, then list 1 or 2 again, and that can help you sell properties better as well. Also helps if other people do that as well. All right, thanks for watching. Love the comments, love the shares, love seeing new subscribers, and yeah, we'll be back with more videos soon. We just did a contest for lazy nodes. Everyone's welcome to hang out on our Discord. The link is below for those lazy nodes, and we'll do another contest for that in a week or 2 as well.